Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be going beyond the buzzwords and taking a look at blockchain.
Yeah.
You know blockchain, we hear it everywhere, but we're going to really get into it today.
Uh,
You've done some research on how blockchain is evolving beyond cryptocurrency.
right.
And it looks like some fascinating stuff. You sent over a paper called The Evolution of Blockchain Technology Beyond Cryptocurrency.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one. And what's really captured my attention with this whole evolution of blockchain is, how we've shifted our understanding of it. You think back to the early days, and blockchain was practically synonymous with Bitcoin
Right.
and this whole idea of digital currency.
Right.
And it was brilliant, sure, but also limited in scope.
It felt like everyone was just focused on the cryptocurrency angle.
Yeah.
So how did we get from just Bitcoin to all these other applications? Like, what clicked?
Well, I think it was the underlying principles of blockchain itself that sparked this kind of revolution.
Yep.
It's this idea of a shared immutable ledger, this digital record that everyone can see, everyone can verify, but no one can tamper with.
Right.
Immutability, transparency, decentralization, these core characteristics,
Okay.
I think, are the real game changers, not just the digital currency aspect.
But wouldn't limiting access be important for certain applications, though?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some data is just too sensitive to be completely public, right?
Exactly. That's where the shift from these public blockchains like Bitcoin to permission blockchains come in.
Okay.
These private blockchains,
Gotcha.
controlled by specific organizations or companies, they allow for a lot more fine-grained control over data access and privacy.
Okay.
And that's what opened the floodgates for all of these applications in areas like healthcare and finance, where confidentiality is key.
So it's not just this free-for-all open system anymore. We're
Yeah.
talking about tailoring blockchain technology to fit specific needs and industries. Now, the research paper that you sent over dives into how those core characteristics of blockchain transparency, security, decentralization translate into real-world advantages. Let's start with transparency and auditability. What are the practical implications there?
Sure. Imagine, you're buying a piece of fish at the supermarket.
Okay.
And with a quick scan, you can trace its entire journey from the moment it was caught through processing, transportation, all the way to your cart.
Wow.
That's the kind of transparency a blockchain can bring to supply chains.
So no more wondering where things came from or how they were handled.
Right.
That's a huge leap forward in terms of accountability and honestly just peace of mind.
Yeah,
Especially for things like food and medicine.
absolutely. But I think the benefits go far beyond just peace of mind.
Okay.
This level of transparency can revolutionize how we handle things like product recalls.
Whoa, okay.
So imagine being able to pinpoint the source of a contamination quickly and efficiently. You can limit the scope of a recall and potentially save lives.
Okay, that's powerful stuff. What about security and immutability? How does blockchain change the game when it comes to protecting sensitive data?
Think about your medical records for a moment.
Okay.
They're often scattered across different healthcare providers, sometimes even on outdated systems.
Right.
With blockchain, you could have a single, secure, and tamper-proof record that you control. Only those you authorize can access your information.
So it's like having a personal digital vault for your most sensitive data rather than relying on a bunch of different systems with varying security measures.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. This level of security can be a game changer for industries like healthcare, finance, and government, where data breaches can have devastating consequences.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this idea of decentralization, it still feels a bit abstract to me. What does it actually look like in practice, and why should people care?
Well, decentralization is about cutting out the middleman.
Okay.
It's about removing those unnecessary intermediaries that just add complexity and cost and points of failure to so many systems. Take financial transactions, for example. Currently, you need banks or payment processors to facilitate most transactions. It can be slow, it can be expensive.
So with blockchain, could I theoretically send money directly to someone on the other side of the world without going through a bank?
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's the potential of peer-to-peer transactions on a decentralized network.
Wow.
And it's not just about money. This concept applies to everything from supply chain management to data sharing. Imagine a world where artists can sell their work directly to buyers without galleries taking a cut, or researchers can collaborate on projects seamlessly sharing data securely without a central authority controlling access.
It sounds like blockchain could really shift the balance of power in a lot of industries, giving individuals more control.
Yeah.
Let's get a bit more specific, though. The research you sent over mentions these things called smart contracts. Can you kind of break down how those work and why they're such a big deal?
Smart contracts are essentially self-executing agreements.
Okay.
They're written in code and they're stored on the blockchain.
Huh.
And they automatically enforce the terms of a contract when predefined conditions are met. So let's say you're renting an apartment.
Okay.
A smart contract could automatically transfer your rent payment to the landlord when the agreed-upon date arrives.
Oh, wow.
Eliminates the need for manual intervention.
So it's like having a digital escrow agent built into the system.
Right.
But can smart contracts handle more complex scenarios?
No,
What if there are disputes or unforeseen circumstances?
they absolutely can. Smart contracts can be programmed with multiple conditions and contingencies,
Okay.
allowing for much more nuanced approach than traditional contracts. They can even incorporate external data feeds or trigger other actions based on real-world events. So, for example, a smart contract for an insurance claim could automatically pay out if weather data confirms that, a hailstorm damaged your property.
Right.
No more back and forth with adjusters or waiting for weeks to get your claim processed.
That sounds incredibly efficient. But could this level of automation lead to unforeseen problems? What if there's an error in the code or someone tries to game the system?
It's a valid concern, and that's why smart contract security is paramount.
Yeah.
And robust auditing and testing are crucial to ensure their reliability. Just like any software, they can have vulnerabilities that need to be addressed. But the beauty of blockchain is that it allows for that transparency and auditability, which can help identify and mitigate these risks.
So it's not a perfect solution, but the potential benefits are huge.
Right.
It seems like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with smart contracts.
Mm.
Now, the research you shared highlights some real-world applications of blockchain that are already happening. What are some of the most exciting examples that really showcase its potential?
One area where blockchain is making significant strides is in supply chain management. Remember that fish example we talked about earlier? That's already becoming a reality. Companies are using blockchain to track food from farm to table, ensuring its origin, quality, and safety. This can help prevent fraud, reduce food waste, and even make recalls more efficient.
It's amazing to think that we could have that level of transparency and accountability in our food system.
Yeah.
What other industries are kind of embracing blockchain in a big way?
The pharmaceutical industry is another great example. They're using blockchain to combat this massive problem of counterfeit drugs.
Right.
By tracking each step of the supply chain from manufacturing to distribution, they can verify the authenticity of medications and ensure they reach patients safely.
That's a huge deal, especially when you consider the potential health risks associated with counterfeit drugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other examples that really highlight the transformative power of blockchain?
Absolutely. We're seeing blockchain being used to track the provenance of luxury goods like diamonds and high-end fashion, verifying their authenticity and ethical sourcing. This is helping to combat counterfeiting and promote fair labor practices. We're even seeing it used to track the origin of conflict minerals,
Wow.
ensuring they haven't been sourced from areas where human rights abuses are prevalent.
It sounds like blockchain is becoming this powerful tool for promoting transparency and ethical practices across a wide range of industries.
Exactly. And these are just a few examples. The potential applications of blockchain are vast and continue to expand as the technology evolves.
This is all incredibly fascinating. But before we dive into, even more specific applications, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the challenges facing blockchain adoption.
Okay.
It can't all be smooth sailing, right? What are some of the hurdles that need to be overcome?
You're right. There are definitely challenges. One of the biggest is scalability.
Okay.
Can blockchain systems handle the massive volume of transactions needed for mainstream adoption?
Right.
That's a question that researchers and developers are actively working on, exploring different solutions to improve transaction speeds and efficiency.
So it's not just a matter of flipping a switch and suddenly everything runs on blockchain. There are some serious technical hurdles to overcome.
Right.
What about interoperability?
Yeah.
Can different blockchain systems communicate with each other seamlessly?
That's another key challenge. Right now, there are many different blockchain platforms, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. And for blockchain to truly reach its potential, we need to find ways to make these systems talk to each other, allowing for seamless data exchange and collaboration.
And what about regulation? This is such a new technology. Are governments keeping up?
Regulatory uncertainty is a significant concern. Clear guidelines are needed to foster innovation while protecting consumers and preventing misuse.
Right.
Different countries are taking different approaches, and it's still a bit of a wild west out there.
So there's still a lot of work to be done on the regulatory front.
Huh.
What about energy consumption? I've heard that some blockchain systems can be quite energy intensive.
That's true. Some blockchain systems, particularly those that rely on what's called proof of work, consensus mechanisms like Bitcoin,
Okay.
can consume a lot of energy.
Yeah.
This is because they require vast networks of computers to solve complex mathematical problems to validate transactions.
So it's not a very environmentally friendly approach in those cases.
Yep.
Are there any alternatives that are more sustainable?
Yes, absolutely. There are other consensus mechanisms like proof of stake that are far more energy efficient. Instead of relying on raw computing power, they use a system where participants stake their own cryptocurrency to validate transactions,
Okay.
making it far less energy intensive.
That sounds like a promising solution. It seems like there's a real push to make blockchain more sustainable as it becomes more widely adopted.
You're right. Sustainability is becoming a major focus in the blockchain space. Researchers and developers are constantly exploring new ways to reduce energy consumption and make blockchain more environmentally friendly.
Okay, so we've talked about scalability, interoperability, regulation, and energy consumption. What about privacy? That seems like a major concern, especially when we're talking about sensitive data, like medical records or financial transactions.
You're absolutely right. Privacy is a crucial consideration in the blockchain space.
Yeah.
And there are different levels of privacy depending on the type of blockchain system being used.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation when it comes to privacy. Can you explain the different approaches and how they address privacy concerns?
Sure. Public blockchains, like Bitcoin, are completely transparent. Anyone can see all the transactions.
Right.
This obviously raises privacy concerns for certain applications.
For sure.
Permission blockchains, on the other hand, offer more control over who can access data,
Okay.
making them more suitable for sensitive information.
That makes sense. But are there ways to enhance privacy even further, even on public blockchains?
Yes, there are some really exciting developments in that area.
Okay.
Researchers are working on what are called privacy-enhancing technologies like zero-knowledge proofs
Okay.
and homomorphic encryption.
Those sound like some pretty complex concepts. Can you break those down for us a bit?
Essentially, zero-knowledge proofs allow you to prove that you know something without revealing the information itself.
Okay.
Imagine being able to prove you're over 18 without showing your driver's license.
Wow.
That's the power of zero-knowledge proofs.
So you could potentially verify your identity or prove that you meet certain criteria without disclosing any sensitive personal data.
Right.
What about homomorphic encryption? How does that work?
Homomorphic encryption is another fascinating approach. It allows computations to be performed on encrypted data without decrypting it first. Imagine being able to analyze medical data for research purposes without ever having access to the patient's identities.
Wow, these privacy-enhancing technologies sound like they could revolutionize how we handle sensitive data in a blockchain world.
They absolutely could.
Yeah.
And they're just a couple of examples of the innovative solutions being developed to address privacy concerns in the blockchain space.
This is all incredibly exciting. But let's dive deeper into some of the specific applications of blockchain that are already changing the world as we speak.
Okay.
We'll start with supply chains and explore how blockchain is transforming everything from food traceability to pharmaceutical distribution.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's delve into the real-world impact of this revolutionary technology.
Awesome.
Let's pick up with that supply chain management. You know, one compelling example we're seeing is the use of blockchain to track food from its origin all the way to the consumer.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier,
Right.
but I'm really curious to dig deeper. Like, what kind of impact is this having in the real world?
Well, it's revolutionizing food safety and transparency.
Oh.
Imagine a scenario where a foodborne illness outbreak occurs. With traditional systems, tracing the source can be a laborious and time-consuming process.
Yeah.
But with a blockchain-based system, investigators could quickly and efficiently track the contaminated product back to its origin,
All right.
potentially preventing further spread and saving lives.
So it's not just about knowing where your food came from, but
Right.
also about having the ability to respond swiftly and effectively in case of a problem.
Exactly.
That's a game changer for public health.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just safety. Consumers are increasingly demanding transparency about the origin and sustainability of their food.
For sure.
Blockchain empowers companies to provide that transparency, building trust and loyalty among their customers.
It seems like a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah,
Consumers get the information they want, and companies can demonstrate their commitment to ethical sourcing and production practices.
precisely. We're also seeing blockchain being used to track the ethical sourcing of products like coffee and cocoa, ensuring fair wages and working conditions for farmers in developing countries.
Right.
This is a powerful way to empower consumers to make informed choices that align with their values.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
It feels like blockchain is giving consumers a voice and holding companies accountable in a way that wasn't possible before.
you're right. It's shifting the balance of power and creating a more transparent and accountable marketplace.
Now, beyond food, what are some other exciting applications of blockchain in supply chain management?
The pharmaceutical industry is another area where blockchain is making a significant impact.
Okay.
Counterfeit drugs are a major global problem, posing serious health risks of millions of people. By using blockchain to track the movement of pharmaceuticals through the supply chain, we can verify their authenticity and prevent counterfeit products from entering the market.
So it's not just about efficiency and transparency, it's also about potentially saving lives by ensuring people have access to safe and legitimate medications.
Exactly. And this technology isn't limited to physical goods.
Right.
Think about digital content and intellectual property.
Okay.
Blockchain can be used to track the ownership and distribution of digital assets, protecting creators' rights and ensuring they're fairly compensated for their work.
That's a huge deal for artists, musicians, and anyone creating digital content in today's world.
Absolutely.
What about other applications beyond supply chain management? The research you sent mentioned some interesting use cases in healthcare.
Oh yeah. Healthcare is ripe for disruption, and blockchain holds immense potential to transform how we manage medical records, conduct clinical trials, and even pay for healthcare services.
Let's start with medical records.
Okay.
How can blockchain address some of the challenges we face with traditional record-keeping systems?
Imagine a world where your medical records are securely stored on a blockchain,
Okay.
giving you complete control over your data. You decide who has access to your information, and you can easily share your records with any healthcare provider anywhere in the world.
So no more carrying around stacks of paper records or dealing with fragmented data scattered across different providers. Right.
It sounds incredibly empowering for patients.
It is. And this level of interoperability can be life-saving in emergency situations.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being unconscious and unable to communicate your medical history. With a blockchain-based system, first responders could instantly access your vital information,
Right.
potentially making the difference between life and death.
That's a powerful example. And beyond improving patient care, how can blockchain impact medical research and clinical trials?
Clinical trials often suffer from inefficiencies and data integrity issues.
Okay.
Blockchain can streamline the process of recruiting participants, collecting data, and ensuring the accuracy and reliability of results. This can accelerate the development of new treatments and bring life-saving therapies to market faster.
It sounds like blockchain could usher in a new era of personalized medicine, where treatments are tailored to individual patients based on their unique genetic profiles and medical histories.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another exciting application of blockchain, managing digital identities. Okay, let's dive into that. What are the implications of blockchain for digital identity, and why is it such a hot topic right now?
Well, in today's digital world, we have countless online accounts, passwords, and identities scattered across various platforms.
Right.
It's a fragmented and insecure system that's ripe for fraud and identity theft. Blockchain offers a solution by enabling us to create a single, secure, and verifiable digital identity that we control.
So instead of having to remember dozens of passwords and juggle multiple accounts, we could have one digital identity that acts as a universal key, giving us access to all our online services and data.
Precisely. And it's not just about convenience.
Yeah.
It's about empowering individuals to own and manage their own data, rather than relying on third-party platforms that often collect and monetize our personal information without our consent.
That's a huge shift in terms of data privacy and control. What are some of the real-world applications of blockchain-based digital identity?
We're seeing it used to streamline identity verification processes for everything from opening bank accounts to accessing government services.
Okay.
It can also be used to secure online voting systems, ensuring that only eligible voters can cast their ballots and preventing electoral fraud.
Speaking of voting,
Yeah.
I'm curious to explore how blockchain could revolutionize democratic processes and address some of the challenges we face with traditional voting systems?
Well, voting is a fundamental pillar of democracy, but traditional systems are often vulnerable to manipulation, fraud, and low voter turnout.
Right.
Blockchain offers the potential to create more secure, transparent, and accessible voting systems that instill trust and encourage participation.
So imagine a world where you could vote securely from your smartphone, knowing that your vote is tamper-proof and that the results are accurate and verifiable. That could be a game changer for democracy.
Absolutely. Blockchain-based voting systems can also provide real-time results,
Wow.
eliminating the long waits and uncertainties associated with traditional counting methods. And because every transaction is recorded on the blockchain, it creates a permanent and auditable record, ensuring transparency and accountability.
It sounds like blockchain could play a pivotal role in revitalizing democracy and restoring trust in our electoral processes.
Yeah.
Now, beyond voting, what are some other exciting applications of blockchain in the realm of governance and public services?
Blockchain can be used to create more efficient and transparent systems for managing public records, land registries, and legal documents.
Okay.
It can also be used to track government spending, ensuring that funds are used appropriately and reducing the risk of corruption.
It feels like blockchain could usher in a new era of open government where citizens have greater access to information and can hold their elected officials accountable.
That's the vision.
Yeah.
By leveraging the power of blockchain, we can create more efficient, transparent, and accountable systems that benefit everyone.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful so far.
Yeah, it has.
We've covered a lot of ground, from supply chain management to healthcare to digital identity to governance. But what about the future? What are some of the emerging trends and potential future applications of blockchain that you're most excited about?
One area I'm particularly interested in is the intersection of blockchain and artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow.
By combining the power of these two transformative technologies, we can create intelligent, autonomous systems that can revolutionize everything from supply chain logistics to healthcare diagnostics to financial trading.
That sounds like a fascinating area to watch.
Yeah.
What are some other areas where blockchain could have a significant impact in the years to come?
I believe blockchain will play a major role in the development of the metaverse,
Okay.
a persistent virtual world where people can interact, work, and play together. Blockchain can provide the infrastructure for secure digital identities, ownership of virtual assets, and even new forms of digital currency within these virtual worlds.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a new digital frontier, and blockchain will be a key enabler of this exciting new world.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
The potential applications of blockchain are vast and still largely unexplored.
Right.
As the technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more innovative and transformative use cases emerge in the years to come.
It's amazing to think how far blockchain has come, and the scope of its potential is just incredible. But we have to acknowledge that there are some challenges and concerns.
Right.
One that we hear a lot about is the environmental impact, especially with, all this talk about energy-intensive mining processes. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it is a valid concern, and it's important to differentiate between different types of blockchain systems.
Yeah.
Some, like Bitcoin, rely on what's called a proof-of-work consensus mechanism,
Okay.
which requires massive amounts of computational power to validate transactions. And this can lead to significant energy consumption.
So the energy footprint isn't inherent to blockchain itself, but rather tied to specific implementations.
Exactly. There are alternative consensus mechanisms like proof of stake that are far more energy efficient.
Okay.
Instead of relying on brute force computing power, they use a system where participants stake their own cryptocurrency to validate transactions. This significantly reduces the energy required, making it a much more sustainable approach.
It sounds like the blockchain community is actively working to address the energy consumption issue.
They are.
Which is encouraging. What about another concern that's often raised? Privacy.
Yeah.
We've talked about how blockchain can enhance data security, but aren't there also risks associated with the immutability of the data stored on a blockchain?
Privacy is paramount. It's crucial to consider the specific type of blockchain being used.
Okay.
Public blockchains like Bitcoin offer transparency, but also raise privacy concerns because anyone can view the transaction history. Permission blockchains, on the other hand, restrict access to data, making them more suitable for sensitive information.
So the level of privacy and control over data really depends on how the blockchain is implemented.
Right.
Are there any other ways to mitigate privacy risks?
Yeah.
even on public blockchains.
There are. There are some cutting-edge developments in what are called privacy-enhancing technologies that are very promising.
Okay.
We talked about zero-knowledge proofs earlier.
Uh-huh.
These allow you to prove something without revealing the underlying data. For example, you can prove you're old enough to vote without disclosing your birth date.
Right. That's like having a digital bouncer who can verify your age without needing to see your ID. What about other privacy-enhancing techniques?
Another fascinating area is homomorphic encryption, which allows computations to be performed on encrypted data without decrypting it.
Wow.
This could be revolutionary for fields like healthcare, where researchers could analyze sensitive patient data without compromising privacy.
It seems like the blockchain landscape is constantly evolving, with researchers and developers pushing the boundaries of what's possible, especially when it comes to addressing these privacy concerns.
It's an incredibly dynamic space, and it's exciting to see these innovations emerge. As blockchain continues to mature, we can expect to see even more sophisticated solutions to address privacy, security, and scalability challenges.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the fundamental principles of blockchain to its diverse applications and the challenges that it faces. As we wrap up, I'm curious to hear your perspective on the future of blockchain.
Yeah.
What are your predictions, hopes, and perhaps even concerns as this technology continues to evolve?
I'm incredibly optimistic about the future of blockchain. I believe it has the potential to fundamentally transform our digital world, creating more transparent, secure, and equitable systems across various industries. I hope to see wider adoption of these privacy-enhancing technologies, greater interoperability between different blockchain platforms, and a continued focus on sustainability.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a paradigm shift, and blockchain will be a driving force in shaping the digital landscape of the future.
I couldn't agree more. It's an exciting time to be involved in this space, and I can't wait to see what the next chapter holds for blockchain technology.
Well, you've definitely given us a lot to think about today. To our listeners, as you navigate this increasingly digital world around you, just consider the role blockchain might play in shaping your experiences, from the products that you buy to the services you use, to even the way you interact with the world. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep questioning, because the world of blockchain is constantly evolving. It's a journey worth taking. And as always, thanks for joining us on The Deep